Hello and welcome to today's speed build. If you're new here, then thank you so much for joining us, and if not, then welcome back. So today I am super excited because I am back building in Moonwood Mill, and we know what that means. It means I am back with another post-apocalyptic build. I've kind of been on my post-apocalypse grind recently. I've just been loving these videos. I find them so fun to build. I don't know what it is. I think because I love post-apocalypse movies and TV shows, I'm just like so excited about doing it in The Sims. I actually have another one in the making, which is actually going to be based off of a particular show. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I don't want to spoil it, but it is in the process right now. But I wanted to get a video out for you. So today we are building a bunker, and that is something that was highly requested. Now in my last like apocalypse kind of build, I had done this container home, and it was for like a family of, was it 5, 6 maybe? It was for quite a big family, and a lot of people had said they would love to see me do a bunker, sort of specifically based around the Fallout one. And I did have a look at the Fallout bunker, but I just didn't know how to translate it to The Sims. I feel like that's something that I struggle with, is translating things over, and that's why for the build that I'm currently doing, the one that I've got in like in progress, is that the word? I always get confused between progress and process, but it's not process because it's a work in progress. Yeah. So the one I have in progress, the one that I'm like basing off of a show, that one has been so difficult for me, and I think I've just kind of realized that I kind of struggle with building things based off of other things. But I'm still going to be releasing that. I'm very excited to. But yeah, with the Fallout bunker, it was kind of difficult for me to work out how to navigate it in The Sims. And so I sort of took my own route and made my own kind of original one that I thought worked. So hopefully that's okay. I actually already want to make another bunker. I know I'm literally making this one right now, but when I was building this, I had never done a build like this before. I'd done post-apocalyptic, but I hadn't done a bunker before, and so I did sort of struggle. There was a lot of like back and forth with placing objects and not liking things and taking them out and stuff. And after a while, I was like, you know what? I really like how this looks, but I would love to do another one with a sort of different vibe. So I definitely want to make another one of these. I really do like this one, but I think I just have like so many ideas in my mind, and I would love to do another one already. Now, I will talk a little bit about this build. I honestly didn't have a massive story in mind. But the idea is, of course, everything is underground because it is a bunker. So I wanted it to feel very underground. So as you can see, there's just this like small little area on the surface, which ends up getting hidden. I end up using the plane from the Strangerville pack, and that kind of like covers up the bunkers, which I thought made sense because with a bunker you want it to be hidden, you don't want it to be like in the open. Now I did do a lot of terrain stuff as well. I don't add the plane until later on, but I did also like put lots of rocks going around this. Your Sims can also walk up these little hills if they want to. I don't know why they would want to, there's nothing up them, but I thought maybe if you wanted to add little things you could definitely do that. Now, I put the plane in because I thought that made a lot of sense. And then on the inside of this tiny little bunker, I did 2 rooms. So I did a first room which has a second vault door because I thought that would be something good to add, because if anyone tries to get in and they get through the vault door somehow, there is another vault door. Now on like the room just before the vault door, there's like computers and stuff, And then there's like a big sign that's like caution, no entrance. And yeah, it's sort of supposed to take away people's suspicions. I mean, I guess it would I guess it would also add to suspicion, but the idea is people would be like, okay, maybe it's just like this used to be an old lab and now it's not, and then they would leave. And then they could also go through the second vault door. But the idea is that this kind of redirects them. So there's some technological things. I didn't put any computers in that room, but there's like a side door and then a front door, and yeah, they both lead to this like little technical room. And then when you go through the second vault door, that's when you get to like everything else. That's when you're able to go down the stairs, and there's like 2 floors underneath the surface level. So there's 3 floors in total if you include this one. And you'll kind of see how I've laid it out. It's very hard to explain. You'll see me place it and you'll be able to get it, what I was kind of trying to do. Now, in terms of story, I didn't think too much into story, but what I did think was there's definitely a big group of scientists in here. Now, for beds, there's room for about 20 Sims and then any like infants and toddlers if you wanted them. What I had in mind was that there actually isn't maybe any kids or people, I don't know, maybe people have struggled to conceive, or maybe there's very few children, something like that. And so they still have cots and cribs just in case, you know, they need them. But they maybe are not in use just now. They maybe just have older kids. And so in terms of beds for older people, older kids, there is 20 beds in total. So you can play with this however you like. I don't know if you'd want to use this as a residential, or if you'd want to make it something that is a community lot so that you can have lots of people. If you play with mods, you could definitely have like 20 people. I think there's like a 20-person mod. I actually don't know if it's a 10-person mod, but I feel like they do have a 20-person mod if I'm not mistaken. And if you are able to play with mods, you could definitely use that and have this be a residential for your 20 Sims. Now, I did think that a handful of these people are scientists, and so with this first room, there's kind of like a generator, you've got fire extinguisher, there's some cabinets for things. The idea is that most of these things are locked, so anyone that is breaking down that first vault door shouldn't be able to, you know, find anything out. I also wanted to put stuff up here because there is a more in-depth technology room on the next floor, like the next floor down. In fact, I think it's the floor below that, and that is where the scientists kind of work out their discoveries, they check things out, they're kind of looking for new life elsewhere and stuff. But I wanted to have one on surface level as well, just in terms of like, there's going to be really poor connection underground, so I thought it was more realistic to have some room up here and then have a more in-depth control panel down below, if that makes sense. But yeah, I was thinking that there's a handful of scientists that are working alongside these people, and they're just kind of trying to work things out, and I thought that was very cool. I thought it was kind of realistic. I mean, as realistic as it could get, of course, but I thought it made sense because you would probably want that. You would probably want kind of like a handful of people working on that kind of stuff. I also think that there's probably medical people as well. So something else I had included was actually like a hospital area. I felt like, you know, I wanted to make sure I got every area that we would need, and so I made sure to include a kitchen, dining space. There's a bedroom, there's one bedroom, and it has room for your 20 Sims, which you will see. Very cramped, but I feel like it is very realistic. There's also an area where they can do a bit of gardening. There's a toilet, a shower area, and then of course there's like the hospital bit, which ends up being on the like second, like the middle floor. And then there's also a stage because I felt like if they're sitting in like the living space, they might want a little bit of entertainment. Oh, and there's also a gym. I wanted to include a gym because I feel like I wanted to kind of include elements that you would need. And Sims kind of, they like to work out and stuff, and also if we're talking realistically, they probably would build a gym if they could. So I wanted to include that as well. So yeah, with it being underground, it was really, really good because like I was able to just expand as much as I wanted, and that's exactly what I did. Now all of the rooms are very full and very cluttered. I think the only room I didn't clutter up much was the hospital room, because I wanted that to look a very specific way. And to me, I felt like it probably, I don't know, it made sense to be, how do I even explain it? It made sense to like not have a lot of clutter because it's the clean room. It's like the cleanest room in here. It's everything is sterilized. Everything is, very hygienic, and so that room is not very cluttered at all. I just added like beds, a little like desk and chair, and then like a, what was the machine I added? I think it was an x-ray machine. And then there's also room for like if these Sims do have children, because I don't think they do have children, but if they were to have a child, I think they have children, but I don't think they have young children. So if they were to have young children, I think they would maybe, need to have the space for it. I feel like there's probably some young children, but I don't know. I was kind of unsure. I don't know if this has been long enough that they would have had young children, or if like it's newer, but based on the amount of like technology and stuff they have, it probably has been a while. So I don't think it would be crazy to say that there probably is some toddlers and stuff running around. I don't know, I didn't think too much into it, but if there is kids, I wanted to make sure that there was room for that, and also room for if anything was to go wrong. So there's room for that as well in their like hospital area. Anyway, I'm really bad at explaining things. Like sometimes when I listen to these voiceovers over, I'm like, what was I talking about? Or sometimes I listen to them and I just don't finish something that I was saying. Like I'll be like, oh, and then this room is, but then I'll talk about something completely different because I get distracted. And yeah, I do that a lot, and I've noticed it. So that's definitely something I need to work on. But anyway, so this is the bedroom, as you can probably tell. And as you can see, I've done like triple decor bunks, which I thought was so fun. I just love the idea of that. Definitely inspired by some post-apocalyptic things I've seen. You see like triple decker bunks quite a lot. I think because like they need a way to utilize their space as much as possible, and this is probably the best way to do it because you can fit so many people in one room. I would hate to be on the very top bunk. I have to say, I'd be so scared. Imagine falling out of your bed from like that high up. Like that would be so scary. Now here I'm placing some lights. I did sort of edit out a lot of me placing lights because there was so many that I had to place for this place to be bright, and also it was so difficult. I had to figure out like good lights that look good and stuff. You'll see later on the lights end up kind of working out, but for now they're not so great. But anyway, we're building the dining tables and stuff, and then I think we move on to the kitchen. I'm kind of forgetting what order I do everything in, which is funny because I only just finished this build actually. I think this build took me like 4 hours. It wasn't a very long time, but I spent a lot of time just adding extra details. This is what I do with a lot of builds. I created a floor plan. I created where I wanted everything to go. I put in like the basics, like the cafeteria, like what's this called, station, the counters, the dining tables, and then like the living room and things like that. And then later on in the video is when I go back and add in details. And the reason I do that is because to me it's much easier to map things out that way, and I sort of feel like I'm able to start work on clutter without worrying too much about things. Otherwise, to me, things feel a little bit harder to complete, if that makes any sense at all. Maybe it doesn't, but I like to have things laid out and then I go back and add clutter as I need. And yes, so everything looks a little bit plain at first, but don't worry, do go back and add things. I add lots of like posters, lots of clutter. The little room in the middle where the steps are, that ends up being a like inventory room, so that's where they keep things that they need. They also have like generators on that top floor that I did, and yes, so I feel like they have absolutely everything that they do need. Let me know if I forgot anything, but I will say with this being underground, you can add things. So if you think that there should maybe be like more to the hospital area, or if you think that maybe there should be more bathrooms or anything of the sort, you can definitely add to that, because it's very easy just because it's underground. I believe that you can go 4 levels underground and I only went 2. So you could add 2 more floors, and you could also expand outwards if you wanted to as well. I did put the like hospital on the 2nd floor, and I added another like area for it to cross over, if that makes sense, so you'll be able to see that. I also made it like full of greenery on the 2nd floor. I just thought it looked a lot more post-apocalyptic that way. You'll kind of see when I do it, but yeah, I really like this build like so much. I think it works really well, and as you can like tell from me speaking about it earlier, I didn't actually have a super in-depth story. I've been watching so many shows and this has definitely inspired it, and you'll definitely see in my next video why I've been so inspired to do post-apocalyptic stuff. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to say, but yeah, you'll definitely see where it's come from. But there is a lot of post-apocalyptic things I like. I've spoken about this in like all these kinds of videos. My favorite movie ever is The Maze Runner, and that is very like dystopian and also post-apocalyptic because it's like the end of the world. That's all about like literally the world ending. It was kind of like it was almost like they had tried to reverse the earth heating up, and it kind of had backfired, and that's a similar story to what happens in Snowpiercer. Literally the same thing, but like opposite, because in the Maze Runner they ended up heating up the world. They ended up causing the flare virus, and in Snowpiercer they ended up freezing the world. So yeah, two very like conflicting things, but I love both of those so much. And yeah, anyways, so I this is me making the little stage. I thought this was very fun because I don't know, I feel like they would want entertainment, and that's something that, you know, humans definitely like to have, and something that can take them away from the reality of the world is just to have a little bit of entertainment, and it kind of helps them to forget. Also, because it's underground, I think that the sound doesn't travel upwards very much, so they don't really need to worry about attracting anything. Now, I think this is much more likely to be something like like a zombie apocalypse. For my last 2 post-apocalyptic builds, I wasn't sure what kind of apocalypse to make them. I didn't know if it would be something like just an end of the world shortage or something like Fallout. A lot of people had different suggestions, but for this one, I think it's much more likely to be something like zombie apocalypse because it's in a bunker, and I think it just works a little bit easier. And also the bunker's kind of hidden because it's under like the plane. It is sort of hidden, so they're kind of disguised and away from everything. And yeah, I don't know, I just thought that works towards like a zombie apocalypse. I don't know, you'll have to let me know, because again, I am so bad at figuring out like the details of everything. I don't know, it's like I don't want it to be unrealistic, but at the same time, I guess it is already unrealistic. Now, I started off by just doing like 2 separate bathrooms. I ended up clearing this idea because I thought it made much more sense to have one bathroom and then one like shower room. Maybe there's a schedule in place so they kind of have times in which they go and shower, maybe like women shower at one time, men shower at another time, something like that. I also thought that they probably have a schedule for like meal times. There'll be people that like work in the cafeteria all of the time, and then there'll be people that work on different areas, like as I've said, like the hospital area, the entertainment zone, even like the gardening, things like that. So I think there's time slots for essentially everything, and people go off of a schedule. I feel like that's honestly how you would have to manage something like this, because otherwise there would really be a lot of like disorder to things and you wouldn't really know when anything was. And I think it would cause a lot of problems because people would get very like annoyed, and people would get very hungry, and people would probably eat things that they're not meant to eat, like their food would not last and their food supply. So yeah, I think that's the best way of doing it. But here's when I added the plane. I really wasn't too sure about it at first. I believe, if I'm correct, the thumbnail is actually in the snow. I thought that was kind of fun. You'll have to let me know. I don't know why I did it in the snow. I just did it to see how it looked, and I honestly really liked it. So you'll have to let me know if you also like it. If you don't want it in the snow, that's fine. You can also just have it as it is normally. I did add like terrain paint and stuff, so it still looks really nice. But yeah, here's me doing the big like shower room. I also added sinks. There's also mirrors, and I added some showers to the middle of the room as well, because I wanted to make it as much out of the space as I could. It's not a very big room. I didn't want to make rooms like freakishly large because I didn't think it was realistic. Like, even though it would be nice to have the extra room, I love things being like cramped in The Sims. I love to squeeze things in. So yeah, I kind of like that. So you'll have to let me know what you think. Now, I know that I need to go back to making like family houses and stuff. That's something that I definitely want to do. I've definitely like fallen off track and done a lot of different things than usual, which wasn't really my plan, but at the same time I'm just really having fun with it, and I just feel like it's fun. And also I still need to do more cast videos, but I'm not sure like what family I want to pay attention to next and like do for that. So I think I'm going to put a poll out soon and see what I want to do for that. A lot of people also asked me if I could do a cast video on one of my post-apocalyptic homes, and yeah, someone had asked if I could maybe do like a cast video where I create all of the characters from that. So if that's something you'd want to see, I'd love to do that too. I also would just love to do more apocalyptic cast videos. I have a few cast ideas in mind that I've been wanting to do. They're not towny cast, they're a little bit different, but yeah, I'm hoping for all of that to come out very soon. I've just been very busy, but yeah, I'm just trying to like prioritize things that I think are good. I really do want to keep up with my apartment series, the like telling stories while doing apartments. I only did one episode of that, but I want to do more because I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that's another thing that I'm kind of gonna try and prioritize. There's so many things. I think it's so difficult because there's just so many things that I want to do, and it's kind of hard because it's like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that, but at the same time I want to do so many other things. And yeah, but I'm definitely going to work it out. I kind of have a schedule where I record and I do voiceovers and stuff. I think the hardest thing is with my shifts and work because they're a little bit all over the place. They're not very like set in stone. I do work like a certain amount of hours a week, but my shifts switch around, so I'm not always in on the same days, and yeah, it's a whole thing. But anyway, I'm just saying that's why things are a little bit disorganized. But I don't even know if you guys notice that. It's something that I notice, but of course I'll notice it. It's me that does them. But anyway, this is the storage room. Let's talk about the build. So this is the storage room. It's full of storage, could you imagine? And there's me adding a few little things to the gym because I thought it just made sense to have a gym, as I was saying, and the gym's a very good size. I wanted it to be quite a nice size for your Sims. I didn't add mirrors in here like I normally do, so if that's something you want to include, definitely make sure to add that. I just wanted to add like the basics. I did add a rather fancy treadmill, but I think they're kind of advanced. They kind of have, they have like scientists and stuff, so I'm sure they can have a fancy treadmill without it being, without it being super unrealistic. But yeah, I really like the gym area. I think it's super cute. I always struggle with gyms because to me, you can't really clutter them up because your Sims actually need to be able to use everything. So like if I clutter it up, like there'll be something that your Sim just cannot get to. So I left it very bare, which hurt my soul. There was the same with the hospital. That really hurt my soul, like leaving it so bare. But yeah, I decided it made the most sense to do it like that. So hopefully that's okay. Now, I used for this little living space, this is like the living room. It's not really a room, but quotation marks around the word room, but it's like a little living space where they can sit and watch entertainment. I did use these couches from the Crystal Creations kit, which I love so much. These are probably one of my favorite couches, and I never really use them because they're not the vibe, but I love them. Like they're one of my favorites. It's just hard to use them because they're a very specific theme. Like there's a specific vibe to them, and I thought they worked really nicely here with the werewolf stuff, and I just really liked how it looked. There's a lot of sofas, so we have 4 sofas and then a chair, and then I added a little bit of storage and stuff. I wanted everything to feel very cluttered, very full. I wanted it to feel like this place was actually lived in because I didn't want you to look at this place and think that it had been abandoned. I wanted it to feel very like people are here all the time, and there's a lot of personality going on and things like that. But I don't know, I was trying to do it in a way where I thought it worked nicely. But yeah, hopefully that came across. Now, here is me doing the little green area. So this is where your Sims can do their gardening and they can get their garden skill up. I felt like this was something that is important to add because, of course, the Sims need to be getting food. They need to be eating. And I thought it was only realistic that they have like a small farm that they can, grow crops. In terms of meat, I think they probably would have to go to the surface and go out and actually get things like catch fish and probably kill cattle, which is so sad. I don't want to think about it, okay? The bear rug was enough for me, okay? I'm not going to think too much about how they get their meat, but in terms of fruit and veg, I think that this is how they get it. They kind of grow it themselves, and I think that they have people that are very experienced with farming, or people that are experienced with gardening would make more sense. Yeah, I was going to add this, like, these greenhouse, what are they called, like windows and stuff, but it didn't really look quite right, so I ended up just adding these, like, little fences, and then I just made a space for your Sims to go in. They actually might need a step. I don't know if they do, but if they do need a step, I'll make sure to add it. I've not added it to the gallery just yet, so if they do need a little step to go up there, I'll make sure to add that. But here's me going back to the kitchen. I didn't honestly add any more clutter to it. I thought it worked like this. So I've got dishwashers in the middle, sinks at the side, and then they've got like their bins, their fridge, and their cooker. So everything's very accessible. It should work. I did play test it, don't worry. But yeah, I am now moving on to the little like lab area. So this is where the scientists work, and I felt like this was an important thing to add because like you know, they have scientists, they definitely need space where they work, where they do things, so that's what I decided to do here, and I think it looks really cool. So they've got like their little desks and stuff, and I tried to rearrange it in a way that worked. I kind of struggled for a bit, but I think it ends up working quite nicely. I did make it a little bit bigger. And yeah, I thought that this was just a really cool room to have. So in terms of functionality, I don't know what you're best having this as. As I was saying earlier, maybe you could just do a residential where you could add a mod and have like 20 Sims, and then you could designate your like maybe 4 or 5 like scientists, and you could have them in amongst, and you can, you know, you could sort of play it that way. I think that would be probably the easiest and the best way to do it. But if you don't have mods, I think that's when it becomes a little bit harder. So in that circumstance, I don't know if you're better to make this a community lot, but you just need to keep in mind that Sims would come and go as they please. So yeah, that's something that you definitely have to sort of work out. You could also have a family and then have like roommates and stuff, but you know, there's still going to be like a cap on how many Sims you can have, so it's going to be harder for it to work exactly how you want it. But yeah, I don't know, with The Sims we are kind of limited, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I'm sure there's something you could work out and you could get it to work and kind of be, I don't know, just like functionally good. Is that a word? I don't know. You can see my sim at the bottom there. I was just playtesting with her. Just ignore her, she's just standing on the stage. I was playtesting just to make sure things worked. But here is the little hospital area, and this is the last area I do, but I really wanted to include this. I thought that it was very important to have, and I end up creating like an extra bridge to kind of go over, because yeah, that's what you would want. I feel like if you were in an emergency, you would need, you know, a fast way of getting there. So that's what I did. And yeah, now, as you can see, this was me struggling with lights, but I decided more lights is better than not being able to see. So I tried to add some wall lights that I thought didn't look too out of place, and I think it looks pretty nice. But here is the little hospital. So I added some hospital beds, an x-ray machine, and then like chairs, and also a waiting area outside. Not really so much an area, but I added some like seats outside where your Sims can wait if anyone they know is like, you know, obviously going through any kind of surgery or getting seen for things or anything like that. So I thought that was a nice thing to include. And yeah, we are coming to the end of this video. I feel like that flew in, but I just want to say a massive thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, because I really do appreciate it. If you don't know, I do have a shell challenge going on at the moment, and it and you have until the 12th of August before the due date. So if you do want to partake in my shell challenge, please feel free. It should be on my gallery. My gallery ID is just iHanza, and you can make the room into anything you like. I have all of my details over on my Instagram. My Instagram handle is iHanzaYT. It is also linked in the description down below. So if you want to follow me over there, I would really appreciate it. And yeah, if you want to check out the shell challenge, that would be amazing. But thank you all so much once again. I really hope you did enjoy this one. And let me know, as always, what you thought of it. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye!